12.7, 261 Jamberoo Mt Rd, the construction of a rural shed, farm gate, store and machinery shed. You have the recommendation. Moved. Councillor Way, you have a question?
Yes, look, I'll move the recommendation, but I also wanted to say that.
Well, is there a seconder for the recommendation? Second, Councillor Riley. Thank you.
Yes, I have mixed emotions on this one because I like to see farms in a Jamberoo or wherever around being able to sustain those green areas with various forms of agriculture and income to do that. There was probably just too many elements in here to not to accept the recommendation, but hopefully we can come to some sort of conclusion down the track where he can get things organised. And I think the real problem was doing work without having approved. So yes, I go on with the council recommendation.
Okay. I do note that the last point 2 of that recommendation. Are you aware of that, councillors? That is that council commence enforcement actions in response to the alleged unauthorised development of the land. Councillor Rice.
I was just going to speak similarly to Councillor Way, because I do appreciate what Kiama Council has been doing to do with the rural landscape and trying to have some sort of economy out there for roadside stalls and people being able to sell their produce. It did appear in this case that the stall was a little bit too far from the road to be readily accessible by people as a roadside stall, but overall I think his concept is good, and I hope that he will continue to work further to come to a solution whereby he can do what he wants to do, but in a way that is permissible more readily by council.
Can I ask a question too, probably the director? As you pointed out that's okay?
Yes.
Yeah, point 2. With enforcement, I would hope that there was some sort of agreements that council and Rick Smith could come to where we can achieve a sustainable, workable farm and without really driving him into the ground, and we can work with him if that's can be noted, please.
Okay, I'll ask the director about the enforcement issue.
Through you, Mr Mayor, there is an official process that we do need to follow for enforcement, and there's required investigations and mediations, etc., that we need to proceed through. So I can't talk about the outcome of that until we've actually gone through that process. But certainly I do note councillors' views in relation to working with him for what's permissible on the site. So I certainly take that on note.
Can that won't necessarily involve fines. I would hope we would be working with him to achieve a good outcome of a workable farm. Would that be correct?
It may involve fines. I can't give the outcome until we've gone through the investigation, but part of enforcement is potentially that there is some sort of consequence for the situation.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, could I move an amendment to this motion in point 2, and my amendment would be that council commence negotiations with the applicant in regards to rectifying non-compliance and report back to council in response to the alleged unauthorised development on the land.
Second, Councillor Steele. Councillor Way, you move the motion. Are you happy to accept that as an amendment?
Yes. I'd like to see I'd like to see council working with Rick Smith, as I've indicated before, to have a sustainable, workable farm. So anything we can do that's going to be positive in that regard, I'd support.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please raise their hands. Against, carried. We now move on to page